Hey guys, my name's Andrew. Welcome to another video in this awesome NextJs13 series. So in the previous video, I introduced you guys to the new way that Google Font works in NextJs13. And I told you guys in that video that in the three subsequent videos after that one, right, that I'm going to be showing you guys three different ways in which you can add Google Fonts to a Next.js13 project. And this video happens to be the first video out of those three. As you can see, this is the inter font coming from Google. We're importing the inter font from Google thanks to the next font package. And then we have the fonts being initialized with the preferences. Basically here we have the subset preference. And then after it was initialized, we had the class name called, and then we have it automatically effected in our whole app, which is embedded within this children prop. So if you really want to understand all the font dynamics that are happening here, I gave a very good introduction in this video over here, the previous video before this one, where I introduced the way Google Fonts work in Next.js13. So you want to check out this series on my channel. The link to this series will be in the description of this video so that you can really understand the foundational concepts. And then if you really want to level up your Next.js13 game, you need to check out this series on my channel. So let's go back to a code, and then we are getting the inter font coming from Google. I guess I've explained. We are initializing, and then we are calling, and we are wrapping. We're adding our children prop here. We're adding our children. We are wrapping it around our children prop, which is basically the whole of our app in this case, right? Because this layout file is wrapping the whole of our app. So this class name, this children prop here is essentially the whole of our app, and then this class name being attached to the body means the whole app will take the inter font. So if you go back to the app running in local mode, this is the app running in local mode. And then if you come to the body, you get to see this strange looking class. That is the class that is generated by Next.js, right? So this inter.class name, inter is the initialization here, and then we have inter.class name. So it's a font you didn't generate, you just called it, and then Next.js generated it for you. So see this strange font, and then when you check out on this styles corner, you get to see inter is at work. The inter font is taking precedence, and then you get to see that there is beautifully a fallback font just in case your inter font fails to work for any reason. Next.js13 have gone the extra mile in making using Google Fonts in Next.js more awesome. So this is the default way that a new Next.js installation comes. It comes with the inter font and then with this class name method. But in this video, I want to show you guys a better way, right? A better way, a more convenient way. The setup might take extra time, right? Yeah. Setting up to use Google Fonts in this method I'm going to show you guys will take extra time, but then it's worth it because in the long run, as you're building your app, especially if your app is big, you're going to have a very smooth run. But then if you go ahead with this class name approach, you are going to not really enjoy the process when trying to use Google Fonts if you are using multiple fonts, right? If you're using multiple fonts, you're certainly not going to enjoy it. So in this video, let's get to work. Let's get to work, guys. Let me show you guys the first method, which I believe the thumbnail already speaks, using CSS variables and selectors. CSS variables, I guess you know CSS variables, CSS selectors, I mean tag selector, class selector, ID selector, whichever selector you wish to use, it just works. And I'm going to show you guys how to do that in this video. So first thing first, you import the font you want from Google. We don't want to use the inter font, right? We don't want to use the inter font. So I want you guys to give our app a final look. Let me kind of close this. So give our app a final look. You can see how the inter font looks, but we don't want to use the inter font. We want to use different fonts, and beautifully we want to use multiple fonts. So in this single example, I'm going to show you guys how to use multiple fonts, and then I'm going to show you guys that beautiful method that I talked about, where you just use CSS variables and collectors, and then your app build is smoother in the long run. So we don't want inter. I'm going to cut all of this out. We don't want inter. We want two fonts from Google. We want Nonito Sans, right? It's Nonito underscore Sans. Sorry, you can see there's an autocomplete, right? There's an autocomplete because the I guess that's coming from the Google Font package. you can see different font names coming from Google, right? I guess is this next font, this package here that is serving the fonts that's giving us that autocomplete. So basically you are getting an autocomplete and then you are seeing the different fonts with the letters you've called. And then I want pop-ins, right? So these are the two fonts we want from Google. We don't want to use Inter. And then coming down here now, we want to now initialize our apps. So let's do our initialization just like in the case of Inter. I want to call the initialization variable. I want to call it Google Sans init is equal to nunito underscore sans, right? So this is what I want to call it. Nunito sans init. Yep. So it's basically a method. The fonts, the imports you get from this import we made is a method, and then you do your setup inside of it. So first thing we want to do is we want to set the subset. We want only the Latin characters of the font, and then yeah, we say Latin. Oh yeah, Latin, and then over here the next thing subsets. There's an S here, and then we're supposed to have an object, guys. We're supposed to have an object. So all of this happens inside of an object. We have subset, and then we have display. Display is going to be swap. This swap has to do with switching to a fallback font if the font you selected is not yet available. And then we have variable. This is the variable name. So now you're bringing CSS variable into the mix. You guys are going to see the dynamics of this in just a bit. So we say nunito underscore sans, and then yep, we want weight. So you can set your weight just like in the previous video. Come on, guys, please check out this video over here. Yeah, this video I did some good foundation to Google font in Next.js13. So check out this video, you get to see all of that. I felt like talking about it all over, but then we already discussed those stuff in this video. So check out the video to really understand more about what we're doing here. So wait, we want yeah, previously in Google, when you want to use the font, you go to Google's website, right? Fonts.google.com, and then you select your font, you set the weight you want and stuff like that. I did that in that video, so go check it out. So we want a 300 font. So basically, whenever we are using Nonito Sans inside of our project, we want only the 300 font value, and then it's only anywhere we use Nonito Sans, anywhere we call the class, like we're going to set it up, it's going to be just 300 width. So now this is we're done setting up Nonito Sans, right? So we're done with Nonito Sans. Now let's do our setup for pop-ins. So like I said, it takes more time doing the setup in this method, but then in the long run, it's super amazing because your work is don't worry, I'm going to show you guys more about that. So let's initialize the pop-ins font. We say pop-ins init and then equal to pop-ins. So basically the reason for bringing in multiple fonts into a project is for aesthetics primarily, I guess. So your app body takes one font, and then your headings will take the other. So our headings will take pop-ins and our app body will take Nonito Sans. There might be exceptions, but basically that's the general concept. So same thing, you call the font method, you bring in the object, and then same way, let's go ahead and do our subset. Let's set our subset, and then equally we want only the Latin subset of the font, the Latin characters. And then we come over here as well. We go with display. We want that swap property as well. And then coming over here, a variable, yeah, we give it the name as well because we're going to be using this name to kind of track the font. So we go with font pop-ins. I believe you understand CSS variables already. You really don't need to understand it to get this done. Let's just proceed, but then it would be nice if you do understand it. So then with good. Now we want multiple weight. The beauty of this font package, I mean, I love the way it works. It gives you autocomplete, it gives you code help, and things are just smooth. So, for example, let me take this out. When you call the weight, you get to see the different options of the weight you can choose, right? It's just so beautiful. And then it's I mean the whole using the font package just comes with this autocomplete that is smooth. If you get this hover effect, this pop-up, you just take some time and study it. You get to see, you get to get some good information from that. So now we want multiple weights, and this is the beautiful part of this setup because it shows you more like everything you need to know, right? in one video, in one example. Maybe not everything, but it shows you a lot. So in this case, we want two fonts. We want two weights rather. We want the 300 weight, and then we equally want the 600 weight, right? So now we have told just the way you go to Google Fonts and do it before you select the weight you want. Same way we're doing here. For this, we want only 300 for Nonito Sans, and then that's whenever you call the Nonito Sans class or however we set it up, the 300 weight will take precedence. But when you come to the Poppins font, yes, whenever you call it, the 300 weight will take precedence. But whenever you call bold on it, the 600 weight will now take precedence. I'm going to show you guys all of these things. But then if you go ahead and call three times, right? So Tailwind CSS have font bold, font semi bold, and then just the regular, right? The one without any bold. So let's say I now select 900 here, you're going to now have this being the regular, no bold, and then this being the semi bold, and this being the bold. But if I selected only two, which I want, is going to be, sorry about that. If I select only two, which I want, is then going to be regular and bold. So this is just so awesome. It's just so beautiful. I love the way it syncs with Tailwind CSS, and it's just so very cool. Awesome work done by the guys at Vassell, by the Next.js team. NextJs13 is cool, guys. It's very cool. So now we've done our font initializations. We've done basically all the setup we need. The next thing we want to do now, we want to wrap our whole app with those we want to wrap our whole app with this setup we did, calling the variables, right? So our app can work just fine. So how do we do that? In this case it was just this class name, it was just inter the class name, right? But using the setup we don't want, yeah, we can just go ahead and do and write our stuff in here. But yeah, let's do that. Let me not get you guys confused. So let's go like this. Let's clean out this, and then we can then call those two. We can call these two variables, right? So what we're doing here now is we are wrapping just like it was initially, but a different method. In this method, we are equally wrapping the whole of our app, which is enclosed in this children prop. We're wrapping it with these two setup with the variables, right? So we're wrapping it with the variables. Then we go to our CSS, we do the setup, we attach those variables to selectors as we want them to be, and then voila, our app is going to have Google Fonts set up for Nito and for Poppins. Let's do this, guys. So the class name, how do you do it? You bring in string literals, and then you basically call in those two variables. So we did up here, you can see we did no need those sans init. So when you call the dot variable, you're basically getting this variable, right? So we are targeting this variable. So now let's go ahead and let's go with nonito sans init dot variable. Sorry about that, guys. The variable, and then equally we also call poppins, right? So poppins init. Sorry, gosh, what's happening? Poppins init the variable as well. Good. So now we've successfully wrapped our app with these two setups that we just did. So now we have these setups having effect on our app. They are available globally on our app thanks to this layout file. So now we've done our setup. We now need to go to CSS and we specify how we wish for this to work. So let's go back to our CSS. This is the global.css file in Next.js, right? So let's not do any project setup for now. Let's focus and get this done. We don't need this extra stuff. We're going to clean this up as we proceed in the series. But for now, let's just forget about them. So let's go to us. Here we are in our CSS file already. We're now going to attach. We're going to attach. We're now going to attach those two variables to selectors like we wish for them to be used, right? So now I can just say here my body. I want my body tag to have the nonito sans variable, right? So I can go with var and then dash dash. Remember what we called it inside of here? We called it font nunito underscore dash dash font dash nunito underscore sans. Same variable you call in there. So you go with dash dash font dash nunito underscore sans, right? So now the whole of our app, the whole body is going to be Nonito Sans, right? Let's go check it out. Let's see if it's working already. So create next app. I guess we should go clean out this boilerplate so we can be sure of what we're doing. Let's go to page. Let's clean out all of this. Right, let's clean out all of this. Let's clean out all of this. I'm going to remove all of this boilerplate. Then I don't need all of these classes. Yeah, I don't even need the class name. Then let's add some lorem text inside of here. Let's say lorem 100. Save, and I guess I should have a good format. Then let's go back to the app now. We're going to see things are different. Let's reload. Right, so lorem, let's say 200, and then I get some plenty text, right? And then I scroll to the top, I save. Going back to the app, you're going to see some kind of error. It's not looking beautiful. Let's refresh. Okay, it's loading already. Let me refresh. You should see those lorem text we added, but then you get this repeating pattern, and then this repeating pattern is coming from here. And sorry, I think it's coming from our CSS. So let's get all of this out. We don't need them. Let's get this out. We don't need it. Right. So in case you remove the boilerplate and you get that effect, this is how to undo it. And then I've saved. Now let's go check it out. Our app is now looking clean, and you can see it's the Nunito, it's the Nunito Sans font that is currently working here, and this is just awesome, guys. So now the whole of our body, because of this declaration, is taking the Nunito Sans font. Let's change it to the Puppets font. Let's play around. Coming over to this tailwind config. Sorry, coming over to our CSS here, we call it font Nonito Sans. Going to the layout, Poppins is called font Poppins. Let's go here and change to font Poppins so that you guys will not think I'm cheating. Font Poppins, and let's go back to our build. You guys are going to see now the font is going to change to Poppins. Let me refresh. Good, it already did that. You can see the font changed to Poppins. So basically, the whole of our body is taking the Poppins font because of what we did. So first step, you get your fonts from Google. Second step, you initialize them. Third step, you wrap your whole app with the two initializations because we are using multiple fonts. And then final step, you go to your CSS and then you attach the variables you give to those fonts, right? The variables here, you attach the variables to whichever selectors you wish. So this has been beautifully done for the whole app body. For the whole app body, it's nice to use Nonito Sans, right? So let's go back to Nonito dash Sans underscore. What was the variable name again? No, okay, font Nonito underscore Sans. Let's go this way. FONT dash Nonito underscore sounds good. So we have added the Nunito Sans font to the whole body of our app. Everywhere in our app will have the Nunito Sans font, except we call another font elsewhere that will take that will have precedence over this. So now I've showed you guys how to use the tag selector, which is the body. Now let's use some other CSS selectors. Let's use some other CSS selectors, which is actually the method I prefer. You basically don't need to have this body selector here. You can just use only the class selectors and then go to the body and call that class. I'm going to show you guys. So this is just the best way. You attach the variables to classes, and then inside of your app, you just call those classes and you'll be fine. So let's go with Nunito. Let's say Nunito underscore Nunito. Yeah, let's go underscore sans, right? Yeah, let's use dashes, right? Nonito dash sans, and then this is the class name, right? So now same font family. So wherever we call this Nonito sans font, I'm showing you guys how to do it with the class selector now. Dash dash font. This is how I love using fonts in my builds. I just attach them to, even before NextJs13, I attach them to classes and then I call them wherever I want. So these two are doing the same thing, just that this is going to work automatically for the whole body, and but this will only work when you call this class. So let's do our final setup for poppins before we go play around a little further, right? So font family, we call the poppins variable. It's dash dash font poppins. Good. dash dash font poppins. So we here we have it, right? You can just remove this or you comment it out. So now I've commented that out. Now our app is not gonna have the poppins font anymore. You can see it's basically resorted to something else. Let me refresh. It's not gonna have the sorry Nunito Sans font anymore. Yeah, so as you can see, our app does not have the Nunito Sans font anymore. Probably this is a fallback font. I don't know. But then let's go back to our build here. You can see we now attach the variable to classes. And let's go back again to the layout file. We initially this was basically the wrapping. We wrapped our whole app, which is embedded in this body, that this body element. We wrap the whole app, and then we attach these two variables so that wherever we call the class that has any of these variables, that particular class will now take effect. And that was what we did. We called this variable on the body, and then it worked. So we needed to wrap our whole app first like this. But now we're not using it on the body again because we already commented the body tag here, the body tag selector. Now we want to use class selector, which is super convenient. So you just come over here. Sorry, what was that? You just come over here and then you add nonito dash sans, right? It's CSS. You have your CSS working here. So you have your CSS here already. So just like you call this class name here, Nunito Sans, that's how you call it everywhere in your project. I guess I'm correct. Let me see. Nunito dash Sans, I am correct. So let me save again. You guys are going to see the same thing that was happening initially is going to happen again. We're going to have Nunito Sans automatically attached to our project just because we went ahead and we now use that class selector. So this is why I said it is easier once you get past the setup phase. So I guess like you've seen, the setup phase took time for you to set all these things up, but then you get different advantages. You get the you get the ability to use multiple fonts much more easier, guys. Don't worry, I'll show you guys why. So basically I believe you get a number of advantages if you do it this way. Just be patient, go through the grind, get this setup done, and for the rest of your build it's going to be smooth. Here's why. Probably permit me to say here is one of the most important reasons why, because I believe there are other good reasons why. So like you can see here, all I needed to do now was just to call the Nunito Sans class. That was all I did. That was all I did here, right? So please don't get it confused. I could call this font elsewhere. All right, I'm coming. Let's do this elsewhere. Let's cut this. Let me cut all of this from here. Good. This will be perfect, so I can show you guys everything. So let's add the class name here. Let's add the wrapping. Let's do the wrapping inside of the HTML element. Sorry, we needed the string literals first. So good. We now have it this way. Now I don't need these braces anymore. I don't even need the literals again. All I just need is quotes, right? So I'm basically showing you guys how simplified this now becomes. So as you can see here, I guess I'm not having any errors, am I? All right, I don't think I'm having any errors. So as you can see here, we moved our wrapping of the variables to the HTML element, and then I just called only class here. So by doing this at this step, you get access to both fonts all over your app. But then wherever you now call the Nunito Sans font, the Nunito Sans font will set up. Sorry, wherever you call the Nunito Sans class, which we set up inside of our CSS, the Nunito Sans font is now going to work. So that is how beautiful it is. So in this case, you don't have to convert any class name to an object to use a font again. This is the only class name you're converting to an object. You already did, and you don't need to do any conversion. All you basically need to do is just go ahead and call the name as a class. No more JavaScript conversion except you wish to do some JavaScript stuff elsewhere, right? But if you went with that out of the box model that came with Next.js, wherever you want to use a font that is not declared globally, you need to convert the whole list of class name to JavaScript just so you can be able to do that dot class name effect, which initially we had in this page of the app. So this method is cool. This is the only JavaScript conversion you need to do for the whole of the rest of your build. Just call the class names wherever you want them. So I've called the Poppins class. Let's go back to the browser, and then you can see it's now the Poppins font that is having precedence. So let's go back to our page.jsx. Sorry, our page.js. We've not converted to JSX yet. Let's do some playing around. Let me take out this. Let me clean this out. So let me say main. And then inside of the main tag, I want to call a h1, right? Inside of the h1, I want to say this is a heading, right? So this is a heading. And then inside the body here, I want to have some section. Let me use a section element. And then I want to give it some lorem text, some dummy text. And there we have it. So let me give some tailwind as a start into this, so we can have some space. Let's go with class name. Let me say MB12. That this will be much MB4. Should be cool. So good MB4, and then let's say font bold, right? So now we're going to have that 600. We're going to have this 600 value because we're now using font bold, like I told you guys. So this will now be poppins, right? Beautiful poppins, and then you guys are going to see only this heading will be poppins. The whole of the app, the whole of the rest of the app will be Nonito sans, because that is what we did here. We wrap the whole. Sorry, it's still poppins. Let's remove this. Let's take it back to Nonito dash sans, right? So now the whole of our app is going to have Nonito sans, but only headings wherever we call the poppins class is going to be poppins. This is all of it, guys. This is all of it in this method, and it's just so beautiful because once you get that, once you get through that grind, that initial grind of getting your app, your font system set up, how you want to use it with variables, with class and sorry, with variables and selectors. Once you go through that initial grind, the whole of your build is going to be smooth. You just call classes, no need to convert the whole list of the class to JavaScript. You just call the classes and you go smoothly. So this is the method I prefer, and this is the method I'm going to be using in all of my builds with Next.js13. I've already started using it, and it's going to be the method I'm going to continue using in all of my builds, except if the build is a simple build, right? Probably I'll just then go ahead with the default system that came in. So we're not using this image element anymore. Let me take this out so we don't get an error. And then let's go check out our build, right? So we see this is a heading, and then we have an Unito sans. I'm coming. Poppins, it seems not to be working. Poppins, let me save each one class name MB4 Poppins. Right, good. You can see here. So we have this is a heading, and then we have this. Let's make this bigger. There was let's say text uh 3XL. 3XL. This is us doing the winter stuff here. So now you get to see this is a bigger font, right? This is a bigger font. I'm coming. Font bold, poppins, text 3XL. Let's go here. So we have 600 as our bold, and then 300 is our default value. Is this? I'm coming. Let's go here. Right, you can see how it's working. Let's take out the bold, right? Let's take out the bold. So let's take out this bold. Let me save, and then you get to see what happens. Right, so it's gone, it's gone, it's gone, it's gone. So it's just poppins with a 300 value working. So this is 300 value of poppins, but the moment we add bold, it automatically takes that 600 value, right? It takes the 600 value. If I call, let's say 900, it's now going to take the 900 value. So when I now call semi bold, it's going to now take the 600 value. I guess we should use uniform quotes here. I guess Prithia should have helped me with that, but it's fine. So over here, you're going to see it's bigger because we now have 900 because we are calling font bold inside of this place, right? So we're calling font bold, and then inside of here, I told you guys earlier, it's going to be regular for normal, just calling the font, this semi bold and this bold. So now you can see the font is bigger because we are using bold. Now let me go make it semi bold. So you guys are going to see now it's going to take 600, right? So this is coming from Tailwind CSS, and then this is just how awesome Tailwind CSS is. So we're going to see an update, and this is going to change from this bold font to the 600 value. So guys, this is how beautiful this setup is. This is how easy it makes using Google Fonts. Once you're done with this initial grind, which might seem harder, you just then go ahead and you call classes. Just call classes, and your build is smooth, your build is beautiful, your build is going to be happy. So guys, that's it. One more thing, one final thing before we go. You might want to keep your app cleaner. Let's go back here. You might want to keep your app cleaner, right? So you can basically export all of this. You create the utils file. So let's create the utils folder, sorry. a utils folder, and then inside of the utils folder, you create the font. So you say font.js, sorry, JS, and then you basically do all of this font stuff in there. And you, after doing them in there, you now export, and then you get them inside of your app, your layout file. So let's go and let's paste. Good. So let's go back to our layout file. What do we need? We need these values, right? So let's go back to our font.js file. Let's get them exported. Why don't we export directly? Why don't we export these values directly? Let's attach them to variables, right? Let's cut. Let me cut. Let me go to font. Yeah, let's export those values directly, right? So export, and then you paste. You need to sans. So we say export. Let's attach a variable to this, right? Const. Let's make it shorter. Nonito, let's say nonito sans, nonito dash sans, right, is equal to nonito sans init the variable. We're doing same thing, guys. We're doing same thing. I'm coming see via JavaScript. We can't use the we have to use an underscore. So let me duplicate this, and then here I basically want to make it shorter, right? I want to make it shorter. Let's go with poppins in it, right? Poppins underscore init, right, the variable. So this is it, guys. This is it. I'm coming. Let me see. We seem to have an error. Poppins underscore. Oh, sorry, I had the init twice. So got this out, and then good. So what we've basically done here, we've handled everything about fonts inside of this place, and then we've exported just some necessities. So this, wherever we call this initially, all we need to, sorry, wherever we call all of these initially, all we now need to do is call this, and then call this, makes it shorter, makes it cleaner. So over here we had nonito. So now all we need to call, sorry, we need to import them first, right? Yeah, we don't need this again as well, right? So we cleaned it up. Going up there, let's import those two values, right? So we want poppins. This is it. This is what I should have picked, right? And then equally, I want nonito sans, nonito good. I guess this is correct. Yeah, these are the two values coming from there. And then over here, we don't need that whatever the variable. We just call nonito sans, and over here we just call poppins. And this is it, guys. This is it. Our app looks cleaner, and then our setup looks more robust and I guess more matured, right? So that is it for using Google Fonts, using selectors. I mean, with selectors and variables. This is personally, I believe this is the best way to use Google Fonts in NextJs13. Go through this initial grind, get it done, and all you just need to do is call classes, and your build is going to go smooth. So you can see our app is working just fine. Let me go ahead and change this again to bold, so you guys can see the 900 weight will come in because I changed it to bold. So let's give it some time. You guys are going to see it's going to adjust to the 900 width because we are using poppins bold, and bold is set to 900. And then everywhere, because we set the body to Nunito Sans, everywhere else takes Nunito Sans, right? Everywhere else takes Nunito Sans except where we specify another font like we did here. So guys, that is it for this video. I hope you guys learned a ton from this video. Don't miss the next two videos because I'm going to show you guys two more ways to use Google Fonts in NextJs13 so you can make your selection. But for me, like I've said, this is my best, this is my preference, right guys? So this video is part of a larger series. If you love this video, I believe you're going to love the series. Check out the series. I mean, get grounded in NextJs13. Don't forget to hit the like button, smash that button, give me the motivation, and then do subscribe as well for more awesome content. I assure you guys, so much more awesome content on the way. Thanks so much, guys. Thanks for watching. Bye bye. Love you guys.